Think about your morning coffee, or maybe the last meal you cooked. You're probably acting like a scientist without even realizing it. It's kind of funny, right? Every single day, we're separating things, and behind these simple everyday actions is some seriously fascinating science.
So, to uncover this hidden science, we're going to follow two curious kids, a brother and sister named Molly and Vali, on their summer vacation across India. Their journey is going to take us from vast farm fields all the way to the kitchen, and it's going to reveal some of the really clever ways people have separated mixtures for centuries.
Okay, so our adventure kicks off at their grandmother's house in Haryana. They're surrounded by these huge open fields, and it's here that Molly and Volley are about to discover a pretty fundamental truth. A lot of our world is made of mixtures, and to actually use them, you've got to separate them first. So, out in the courtyard, they see their family and neighbors all carefully cleaning these enormous piles of grain. And right away, they're super curious. What are they doing? And why? What's the secret to getting the grain so perfectly clean and ready to be cooked? Well, their grandmother sees just how curious they are, and she decides to show them the simplest, most straightforward method of all. She tells them this is called hand picking. It's the perfect way to do it when the stuff you want to get rid of, like little stones or bits of husk, are easy to spot and there aren't a ton of them. It works simply because our eyes can easily tell the difference in how they look, their size, their color, or their shape. And you know what's so cool about this? Just how versatile this simple idea is. I mean, look at the picture on the left. That's on a massive agricultural scale, making sure the harvest is top quality. Now look to the right. It's the exact same idea a kid might use right there at the dinner table. And the kids? They catch on super fast. At lunch, Molly starts picking the whole black peppers out of his vegetable pulao. His sister Volley immediately makes the connection and starts teasing him, saying, "Hey, you're using the hand-picking method right on your plate." It's pretty funny. Later that day, their uncle takes them out to the fields. And here, Molly and Volley see a much bigger problem. Separating a whole harvest isn't about picking out a few little stones. This is a massive challenge that needs a totally different game plan. So their uncle explains what they're watching is a process called thrashing. The farmers are taking these big bundles of harvested wheat stalks and just beating them against a large wooden log. The whole point here is to use sheer physical force to break the grain away from the part you can't eat, the stalk. You can almost feel the energy in this picture, can't you? Every single one of those powerful strikes is designed to do just one thing: knock those precious grains loose from the stalks. This is really the first big step in separation after the harvest is brought in. But you see, threshing creates a whole new issue. Now you've got this huge pile of heavy grains all mixed in with the light, flaky husk. I mean, could you imagine hand-picking that? It would take forever. So how do you solve this? Well, you need a smarter solution, one that uses the power of nature itself and looks at another property, weight. And the answer? It's called winnowing. This is such an ingenious method, and it relies on one simple fact. The grains are heavy and the husks are light. So by using wind, you can literally separate the two. And the key tool they use for this is a special bamboo tray called a soup. Just look at the technique here. The farmer is standing on a raised platform, right? That's to catch more of a breeze. As they gently shake the tray, the wind just grabs the lightweight husk and blows it away, while the heavier, valuable grains fall straight down into a nice clean pile. So simple, but wow, is it effective. All right, so the journey continues. The next part of their trip takes them on a train to Ahmedabad. And back in the kitchen, their aunt is getting food ready for the journey, which introduces Molly and Volley to yet another method of separation. Volley is super excited to help make meaty pori. It's a sweet fried bread. But her aunt explains there's a crucial first step to get that perfect texture. Before they can knead the dough, they have to purify the flour and get rid of any of those coarse bran particles. This next method is called sieving, and the principle here is all about a totally different property: size. A sieve is basically just a mesh with a bunch of tiny holes of a specific size. It lets all the fine flour pass right through, but traps the bigger bits of bran on top. I bet you've done this yourself when you're baking something, right? But what's cool is that the exact same idea is used on a massive scale, like at construction sites, to separate fine sand from larger pebbles and stones. It's the same science. Okay, for the final stop on our scientific tour with Molly and Valley, we head to Ahmedabad. And here they come across a completely different kind of mixture. One where the parts are impossible to separate by hand or with a sieve because it's salt completely dissolved in seawater. So how in the world do you separate something you can't even see? Well, you let nature do the heavy lifting again. Seawater gets collected in these shallow pits you see here called salt pans. Then, the sun's heat gives the water molecules enough energy to turn into a gas, water vapor, and they just escape into the air. But the salt is a solid, so it gets left behind as these solid crystals. And that whole process is called evaporation. And this simple substance, salt, which we get through a basic process of separation, it actually holds immense historical power. The ability to make salt was right at the heart of the famous Dandi March led by Mahatma Gandhi, which was a truly pivotal moment in India's fight for independence. So, as we've seen on Molly and Volley's journey, these aren't just random daily chores, right? They are all different applications of the science of separation. And each method is perfectly designed to solve a different kind of problem by targeting a very specific physical property. So let's do a quick recap of these 5 brilliant solutions they saw. First, there was hand picking for separating things by sight, color, and shape. Then threshing, which uses force. After that, winnowing, which separates by weight using the wind. Then sieving, which separates by size. And finally, evaporation, for getting a dissolved solid out of a liquid. 5 different challenges, 5 different scientific principles at play. Molly and Volley's journey really shows us that science isn't just in some far-off laboratory. It's right there in the field, it's in our kitchens, it's literally all around us. So the next time you strain pasta, sort your laundry by color, or even just brew a cup of tea, remember, you're a scientist at work. The only question left is, what other hidden science are you going to start seeing now?